All right, it's For Your Games here with pointing at two
Uh,
guys,
yeah, Caleb Segura,
Caleb
and
Segura and
and McKay Hansen.
Jay Hansen. And what are we playing today?
I usually don't care about names too much because I pitch to publishers and they're going to change the name anyways. But I call it Infinity/Singularity. The theme of it is that you're creating an AI computer program. It's an engine builder, and when you run it, it's trying to gain sentience by creating an infinite loop. The whole core idea was that I would make an engine builder to where you try to break the system by making an infinite loop and getting infinite resources. And if you do that, you win the game. It's over. And haha. I'm trying to reset this little timer, and I don't know why I can't, but oh well. Okay, stopwatch. Okay, there we go. Just to see about how long it's been running. So generally, I aim for this to be about 20 minutes. And like anything else on Tabletop Simulator, there's usually a Tabletop Simulator tax to where it may run longer, but we'll see what happens. I did teach the game briefly to Marcus just earlier, but we have McKay joining us as Spirit Beard playing as the green, and let me switch my seat real quick. So, actually, McKay, can you hear me right now?
Yeah, I can hear you fine.
Because I haven't heard
Can you
you
hear me?
for a while.
You can't hear me? Oh no.
I can hear you.
You can hear
Okay.
me, but not.
If you look in the upper right, you see your name, Spirit Beard in green. If you click that
Change
and
color.
then do change color,
Is there one?
and then
So
if you
side I
can
should be
change
on?
color to yellow, just so you can be oriented the same way, that'll help out. And then I'll just be.
Oh, I used my scroll wheel. Apparently, that also can change.
But try to be yellow so your face
Yes,
is
that's
okay.
where I was before.
Make it easier on everybody, and then I'm going to slide these up. Okay, so I'm going to be, and then I don't think you also heard the disclaimer before. I like to teach games as we go, just because if I say everything right now, it won't make as much sense as later. It shouldn't be a complicated game. I hope not. But I'm going to take first player, and then hey, you get second player, and Marcus, you get third player. So that's the order currently. Moving everything out of the way. Okay. Okay. So, and then the other thing is, this will be the 5th time or 6th that it's ever been tested, and there's a few things that have never been tested before. Take this little thing, and since I am the first player, I have this little thing to say where the pick order goes. And I'm going to take these things out as the first things that are able to be picked. You have set up the available things to take are the number of players in the game. So in my turn, I can either start my system, so I can press the start button, take my little purple cube, put it in here. So on the right of my little card, and McKay, if things are too far away and you can't see them, if you mouse over,
I've got
and
the
you hold
mouse
the
controls
tab
okay. I
button
think
down, it'll zoom in on a card. Oh, sorry,
on a
the
specific
alt button.
card.
The alt button, it'll zoom in on a card, and
Right.
just for aid's sake, because you're already looking at your own card, I'll do the example from your card. So
Okay.
if you, in your turn to pick, if you decide I want to run my engine, you would press the start button. You would take your little purple cube. You would put it on the first square. Yeah, that's close enough. It's fine. I haven't put the snap points in just because things change all the time, anyways. And this was last second today. That's all the effort I put in. And then from the start button, you would follow your circuit path of how many AI you pick up, and right now that would be 2, 1, 2, and then your circuit dead ends, which is one of the 2 conditions that will end your machine running. So you would have a score of 2. I would go over to this little clicker thing up here, which shows a score of 2, and if it's not infinity, but if the game ended at this point, you would win because you have the highest score of 2. But since the game did not end, this little player pick thing would go over to you, and now you would be the first player, and now you would get the first pick of everything else from later rounds. And congratulations. If your purple thing was already here, and you started the thing again, your purple thing would move one space through it. And then if you ran it again, it would run it one space through it again, and you wouldn't be able to run the system anymore because you're out of coolant or heat sink or whatever you want to call it. Which brings me to the other option of what you can take, because instead of taking this and instead of running your system, what you also could do is take one of the heat sink things and put it
interesting. Face
so now you have more heat.
I love that dual use. That's cool.
And life is good. So if you had, for example, this as part of your circuit, and you ran your system now, you would get an AI, and you would go through the system, and if you went through the little fire symbol, that would put one heat here, and it would dead end here, but let's just say you started taking more heat through the other circuit, and your circuit ran out of heat. At this point, if you took up another heat, you would run out of room, and you would have to end your machine. So the two ways your machine stops running is it runs into a dead end, or it runs out of coolant space. So that's why each time you run your system, this purple moving on is important, because you're getting less and less room to take on heat. But you start at 0, this thing goes up there, this thing's going to come over here. With that, those are the 3 actions you can take. Take one of these, or boop your system. I wanted to call it Boink from Cabin and Hobbes. Scientific progress goes boink, but boink is a bit too sexual, so here we are. But yeah, I will be first pick, and I will take something, but do you guys have any questions? When you place your thing, I will give you a chance for questions, but I just wanted to say, when you place something, it doesn't have to line up with everything. So this is fine, this is fine, this is fine, this is even fine, but this is not fine. Yeah, and
the orientation of the card always needs to stay the same.
So it has to at least a little touch something, even if it's on a corner. Okay, now do you have any questions? I lied before.
Now, when you take the top deck, can you flip it?
For now, I'm going to say no. In the past, you could, but now I'm saying no.
Okay.
Actually, there was no flipping in the past, but in the past, you could have taken a random, and it made pick order not as important. So I want pick order to be more important. So that's why I'm saying no.
Okay.
Got it.
So no questions, and I will just take my first thing. And still, you can ask questions as we go.
Sure.
But I could have rotated this to put it in. Which, yeah, I think I'm going to rotate it and put it in.
Because then you get more AI when you do
so
that.
now, McKay, you get the next pick.
That's the advantage there, is that it goes over more AI rather than and so I get the pick. Let's see.
Marcus.
Sorry. Oops.
And Q and E will rotate, and
Will
your middle
also
mouse
rotate?
will rotate. If you're on the laptop, I don't know if you're using a mouse, McKay,
I am.
how bad the middle mouse wheel would be.
I am using a mouse. Let's see. Ooh, that one doesn't.
And
connect
sadly,
very
you
well
can't
with what I've
offset
got.
the cards.
Yeah. All right. Well, I will do that.
But that would be fine if that's where you want to put it.
Okay. I think that's where I'll put it for now, because it doesn't directly connect if I do this, right? And I'm just ending my circuit.
And if you do that, it'll dead end your system.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I said I
Which is a noob trap I want to avoid, and I have to think about ways to get around that. But yeah.
I mean, you could always go with like purchasing Catan sticks.
Coolant stuff.
Well, I mean, like purchasing Catan roads as a.
You mean like things to join on? Yeah, I had what's called bridges before. Because I know right now you're looking at 2 cubes, so this is going against what I'm about to say, but I would like this to be played with purely cards, but I'm not there yet, and I just want to see if the other systems work before I try to get into that sort of thing. But yeah, I do want... bridges would bring in a lot of card synergy. That would be fun, but I haven't made it simple enough yet, so not yet.
Sure.
But Marcus, I would give you next pick if you want to boop, or if you want to...
So right now, I've got the one option in the market in the top deck.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. And you can always grab them and just see how they fit.
Yes.
Right. Okay, so that would actually give me 2 heat right there. If it, so I could run
2
it through the
heat and
top.
3 AI. Now, and then the other thing is the heat will clear off when you're done running your system. It's just the purple does not.
Okay, so I run the system once, and then that's purple right there, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then but you're running the system would be instead of taking a card. But yeah, just for example's sake, we'll say if this was your case, you would put the purple down, you would get 1 AI, 1 heat, 1 AI, 1 AI, 1 heat, and you have enough heat to put all that there. So you would get a score of 3 and become the first player to pick from that point on until somebody out boops 3.
Okay, yeah, I'll take the card.
Yeah. Okay. So since that's the case, then I'm going to take 3 more cards out.
And then this moves over to me.
Okay, so now we have fans here, and what a fan does is it'll make your heat go back 1 time every time you pass over it.
Interesting.
Nice. Does the turn order card change, or?
No, and that's still with me. No, it doesn't change until somebody else boops. So McKay, it's my pick still.
Oh, sorry.
I'm still first player.
When did you say first player moves?
That was a mistake.
Once somebody runs the system, then who's ever the score leader, they get the card.
Gotcha.
Say that one more time.
Whenever somebody runs their system and then they're the score leader, then they take the card, right? They take the turn order card.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes. The score leader takes the card, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Right.
So now, McKay, you can go. You can either boop or take a card, and if you booped, you would be the leader unless Marcus boops. But okay, so now Marcus, boop or card.
eBay.
The age-old human question: to boop or card.
The hours we've spent pondering it.
I guess you could put it up here and have like that run through. But rotated 180. Yeah, if you want to do that.
Oh yeah, it works like a champ. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I might be going off the table though. How does that work? Can I just slide all my cards over?
I think I just skewed everything.
There you go. Yeah. You can't remove things from your circuit, but we can relocate just because I probably made the cards too big. Because it's not tested. Okay, so I am flipping new cards. And what do we have here?
So far. So you said the fan. What happens with the fan? You lose 1 heat every time you run through the fan?
Yeah, okay. Which is a good thing.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, McKay?
Now, I might be nitpicking, but like when I zoom in on a horizontal card, my zoom is actually vertical.
Yeah, I noticed that just now, which I'd have to reload all the cards, and I'm sorry.
Okay.
Actually, there might be...
Or is there something more advantageous than that?
Zoom in on the card, and while you're holding the Alt down, I just tried this, and then you press Q a few times, it'll make it horizontal, and it'll make all your other previews horizontal.
Oh, that's awesome.
Oh, yeah, hell yeah.
The more you know.
And knowing
I see 3 cards for McKay and 2 cards for Marcus, so it looks like it's Marcus's pick, or boop opportunity. Okay. Opportunity.
2, 3.
I like the opportunity.
Yeah, let's try.
If you...
So
that right there technically is an infinite loop, but you would run out of heat.
Yeah.
But It's close.
Yeah, you need to. What was I going to
Because
say?
it would
How are you
gain
making
2
the
heat
little
and cool 1 off every
arrows?
time it gets 2. But yeah, you can put it where you want. I was just like, uh-oh, did I make the game too easy? But then it doesn't quite end the game yet.
Okay.
If you get lots of
Are you
cooling,
making
it
those
would be
little
pretty
arrows
cool.
to point, Caleb?
Okay, I will draw the next 3.
Let's see.
Oh well. I just realized that this card looks like an envelope.
It does. It's fun.
A cow envelope.
Okay, so Marcus. Nobody wants to boop, huh?
I want to get more AI. That'll work.
What I wanted, well.
Now, what if everybody's tied once they run the system?
I don't know. I'll see if it happens enough to be a problem enough to
And
make a
my-
rule or a change.
My
But
rotation degree changed.
Probably the person who like initiated it, right?
maybe so. The first that ran.
Now you're saying like as soon as you run it, you got to put the purple cube out, then you put the heat.
That's a pretty nifty
Yeah, that's what I'm
heat
thinking.
sink, yeah.
Oh, gotta be fast.
Okay, Sonic the Hedgehog. Same thing. Okay.
Same thing.
I considered throwing away the previous card if it's not picked, but I'll leave it out for now until I think up something better. I have kind of an idea for it, but I want to just see how things flow first. Okay. Gonna run that bad boy?
I think I am going to go ahead and
Oh,
run
he's running
that. And so, how are you making those little arrows before to show where you were moving? I don't know if Caleb can hear
So
me.
this would
Caleb, can you still hear
fair,
me?
but you get 1, 2, 4, 5, 6. This is what I count. So I would just do this to 6, which in person we would hopefully all collectively remember that it was 6, and maybe you don't need the tool. I don't know. So
Can you hear his spirit globe, Caleb?
can I what?
I've been.
Can you hear
Can
him?
you? Can you
I
hear me
cannot
when
hear
I'm
McKay
talking?
right now if McKay's trying to talk.
Yeah, I have been trying to talk. I don't know.
Yeah,
But you can, right, Marcus?
Yeah, I can hear you. He was talking about how do you bring the arrows up? I think it's this deal right here.
Like how do you make a point like that? It's
yeah,
the
how do you
button
signal
tab,
like
but
that?
maybe I misunderstood the question.
Yep, that's exactly what it is.
Yep, that's it. That's what he's saying.
Yeah, and holding tab down is to make the ruler. I do not know why I cannot hear you. So let me rejoin this real quick and. Okay, try to talk again.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now. Oh, sorry,
perfect.
I was ignoring you for a while.
No, it's no problem. There were a couple of times I'd asked the question and wondered if you hadn't been able to hear me. So.
Okay.
Okay. And so now, do I take another turn now? Or does it
no, you do not take another turn. We'll just finish off Marcus's, and then it's going to go to me, and then I'll be last pick.
Gotcha.
It's the first time I've ever gone through that, so see how it feels. I don't know if you want it there, but you could.
Yeah, it's not helping. Yeah.
Or flip the other way is what I meant, but yeah, 180. Like, depending on what you build on there, I don't know.
Right.
And let's see about this one.
That one might be better for you. Yeah.
Yeah.
That little round, or I don't know. Oops. No, I still have tab selected. I got tab happy.
Okay.
Yeah,
So now I'm going to refill these, and McKay, you get first pick.
Okay. Oh, everything still has heat.
How irritated were you having me interrupt you all the time?
Huh? No, you were fine. I wasn't like commenting a lot, just now and again. All right. So the trick, really, I'm seeing is managing to make a loop that doesn't create infinite heat, because that seems like that's the problem I'm running into. It doesn't
Maybe, yeah.
heat up, because like I could make a loop right here, but it would have 3 heat and 2 fans, right? Yeah, it wouldn't do it for me. Pretty much any of these, like this, would do the same thing.
It's like real life processors.
Yeah, exactly. No such thing as infinity working for us. Sad. All right. Well.
But the game would definitely have to end once you got done with all the cards, though, right?
Yeah. Thinking the cards going through is longer than I planned the game to go, but we'll see. I still don't know how fun things are, so I don't know if I want to end it early.
I think it feels fun. It's the choices feel strategic.
Oh, yeah. All right.
Because in those 4 or 5 previous plays, it has not felt right yet. So this one is getting closer, maybe, but I don't know about because I did up the complexity a little bit. I upped the complexity and up the intuitiveness, if that makes sense. So we'll see. Because when you saw it last week, it was technically more simple but less understandable.
Yeah, let's go with that. What do you think about the strategy of just staying in second place all the time?
I don't know. We'll see, won't we? Okay, McKay, your pick. Oh,
I do
gotta
feel like
refill.
my mean that you miss out on those valuable fans that I'm seeing. I'm going to really like.
Yeah. For a while, I was going to have this flip back and forth every time somebody picks.
So that it
and was
rotates
making-
left and right.
Yeah, but it was making first player, second player almost every time, but I don't know.
True. I think I'm just going to go ahead and grab this.
Because
It's on me now, right?
Yeah.
Why does it seem like I have first pick? Because it didn't go away. Because the thing that didn't get picked didn't go away. Okay.
Yeah, because I took a backside card instead.
Guess so. All right.
I think I will run my system. So 1, 2, heat. And then I'm here. We get another heat. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then it comes back here. Heat. Heat. 9, 10, 11, 12. Back here. Heat. 13, and then I overheat. So.
Nicely done.
And then, yeah. Well, we'll see how this goes. Okay. Pick. The pick of the century.
It's my pick again, or is it yours now that we finished a round and you're first player?
Hold on, let me melt my mind real quick.
Because at the beginning of this turn, I was first player, then Marcus went, then you just went, and
Yeah,
became
so I
the
guess
new
this
first
should
player.
refresh, and yeah, I guess I'll go. If that's okay.
Sounds good. Although it sounds less good when you take the card I want.
Yeah.
Okay, nicely done. There you go. And so now the next time you run it, you've got one, right? You've got an infinite loop there.
I think so.
Does it immediately happen now, or is it when you
No,
run?
I got to get back to Boop. So if somebody, yeah, I don't think if anybody else had an infinite, they could do it. So, I mean, so I guess technically there's nothing you could grab the beat.
Yeah, at this turn, I guess that might be the one advantage of being able to take a random card is it makes you feel like you've got a choice here when you're in this situation, because otherwise, the last turn is kind of you got it, and then we have to wait a whole turn and each play a turn that doesn't necessarily feel valuable.
Yeah. What I would say is if you can, with your one pick, if you can create an infinite loop that has, like, let's say you had an infinite loop that had like 2 AI in it, where mine only has 1 AI, you could break the tie and win, and I would let everybody get a free boop at the end. But I still don't think that's good enough. But it's something.
And maybe somebody
just like in this case, I mean, sorry, go ahead, Marcus.
Maybe if somebody is showing infinite, then you can flip that random, maybe?
No, I'm all for ideas. Like, if it's simple and it's fun, then I'll put it in.
Okay. Well, I'm just trying to see if there's nothing I can do is going to be infinite. It's just going to heat, so.
Yeah. I mean, that at least throws, well, wait, is that a debt? Okay. Yeah, that would throw in more AI, but.
So, I mean, yeah, now I can do that as a loop.
Close, because
I was trying to do the whole time, but I just never got another fan to be able to pull it up. So.
Yeah.
Right.
But with that, I can do it to where, sure, go ahead and I'll let McKay pick a random and Marcus pick a random if you want, and just see how it plays out. So
how it works.
Yeah.
And how do I flip it?
F.
Makes sense. Okay, so that wouldn't have made a change for me in this case.
Oh, but the feeling of hope is important.
I think it is. Yeah, I think that I honestly think I probably prefer it with that option to feel like I had a choice there rather than shoot, you can't really do anything. Yeah, and again, I don't think there's anything that I can do that won't. I'm good because I'm going to go through that.
I think the Greeks saw hope as a negative thing. So
yeah, if we could think of a real thematic word for tech, like
oh, like we're on the threshold or something.
Crashing or something, but not crashing, but
cresting.
Latency, I don't know.
Yeah, and let me just pick a random for you, Marcus, to see what it is. Okay, yeah, you probably won't infinite off of that, but
maybe here? No.
Yeah.
Well,
truly infinite.
Well, I mean, I have 10, then 11, 12.
Yeah, I mean, if you ran it, I think you would get some good points, but then you just hit enough heat that you couldn't sustain it, right?
It has an end
forever.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm here for all sorts of feedback.
I mean, it was nice and fast for sure. Very strategic.
I really like the card designs. It makes me feel like, every play matters. I think I might have played these first two differently had I realized how rare it was to have one that doesn't generate heat. Because these were the first two cards I happened to get. Neither of them have heat on them. I would have been maybe a little bit more careful. I think I could have made a loop here. Is that right? No, maybe that's a lie. Anyway, I think there was... when I had two fans, I think there was probably a possibility I could have done that if I'd been careful.
Maybe.
Although this one's in the middle of the card, and these ones are both edge cards, so maybe that's actually not real. Anyway, I think they're fun cards to play around with. Is there a reason why they're not square, I wonder?
Yeah, so they were square in my
they
first...
were originally.
Yeah, in my first three, and it's just something I'm trying both to let me make cards feel more unique, because if they can't be oriented in every direction, then you have one more thing, they're not as symmetric anymore, so you can create more variety.
True.
But the bigger thing was, I'm trying to speed up players' turns.
Yeah, and that's something that it absolutely does, is it, eliminates some AP there where people would be turning it, 4 directions instead of just 2, basically, at any given place that they've got it.
And I think I know less tile-laying games that have lengthwise, like rectangles instead of squares, so it's just something else to... I don't know, something I'm trying.
No, I think it's interesting.
But yes, my mind was exactly what you're talking about before, and that may be what I returned to in the end.
Yeah.
That's why I'm here now.
For me, the idea of taking these cards to increase the amount of heat I can take didn't feel very valuable when I know that ultimately I'm just trying to do something that will generate no heat. And so, this just seemed like it's I guess that might feel more valuable if it's looking like no one's going to be able to win. But I think, nobody's going to be able to do the infinite loop. So maybe if we were getting closer to the end of the deck, I might have felt that way. But what are there still 30 cards or something here in the deck? And I felt like at least you and I had been close for a while. Marcus, I just felt like kept drawing lots of heat cards, so maybe he was having he was a card or two away most of the time. Just because he had been later pick most of the time and we'd stolen his fans.
We are always talking about how hot Marcus is. So.
That's right. Just pure heat.
Cool me off with the fan.
So what I would just say is I agree completely what you're saying about these, but I'm just sitting here thrilled that they didn't break the game, because that is completely brand new, me trying to use the card back. And
I think they're cool. When you introduced that idea at the beginning, I was excited to see the kind of dual use cards. I was just trying to think of a way that
it needs to be in there more.
Like, can you also make a loop in the heat sink or something so that you can generate infinite heat, and then your infinite heat loop doesn't matter on the map or whatever, right?
Yeah.
And then it might be more of a competition, that or maybe every game you play through the deck, and it's whoever has an infinite loop that generates more faster or whatever. Like you were saying, like if someone has a loop that does 2 versus a loop that does 1.
Yeah. I like the
another,
idea of
another
the
possibility.
heat looping a lot.
Because just seeing those card backs being so cool, I was thinking, what could be a strategic use of those?
I think a problem with the heat looping though is that
immediately does it, right?
Yeah.
So maybe you just need more cards that are like this one though, where they only touch at certain points along the edge, and so fewer cards are actually going to touch like that. Whereas this one's 4 exactly in a row, you might have one that touches here, 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 or something. Here, 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 whatever. And you could also have spots that like can't connect. Because the way you've got them right now, you have those little 3 lines going. So you could just have only one of those 4 blocks has the 3 lines going off the edge or something of the card. That would also limit how many options I have to do one of those heat loops. I don't know. That's something to play with.
I have plans to do that.
Were there other things you were experimenting with this time around that specifically you'd look for feedback on?
Heat on the path. So this is the second play with heat at all, and heat on the path was brand new. So just kind of how that felt. Because before they were, I don't know if it's even worth talking about what they were before.
Go ahead.
That's new. And then fans in the past were a permanent cube that you put on something to where that card will no longer heat anything up again. So it was.
So was it before every card you pass over generates 1 heat?
Not every card you pass over generates 1 heat, but there. Like imagine wherever you see a heat, instead it would be like an empty square, and that empty square is kind of a self-contained loop. So technically, this could ping pong back and forth with that. It's just every time you go around a loop, it generates a heat. It didn't have a heat symbol. It was just every time you did a loop to basically double back, you would gain a heat.
Gotcha.
So
I do think this feels simpler than what you just described. I mean, it might have felt different on, if that was how you explained the rules originally.
It was less intuitive.
I do think seeing the heat definitely feels intuitive. Also, seeing how much of it there was felt a little frustrating from time to time. I like cards like this one of Marcus's, where there's a heat route and a non-heat route.
Yeah.
But the cards, and this is the majority of the cards that have, every path through them has heat, and there's no fan in any direction. There were rounds when that was all 3 of the cards that we would draw. And so it felt like adding those was a net negative because it wasn't, even if it helped us kind of, close a loop, it wasn't going to help us close the loop we needed to win.
Yeah.
I don't know what the solution is to that, because you want to be careful not to give, a fan and a heat on every card, because then the heat doesn't do anything and it's easy to win, it's easy to make the infinite loop. So it's just it's a balancing game. I don't know that I have an answer to that problem. That was just maybe something that I identified that felt a little frustrating.
And something that you were building like this, like going all the way around, if you pulled that off with fans, would just feel so much better.
It would feel really cool, right?
Than this feels. I was just like, I won, but I wanted to do it cooler, kind of a thing.
Right. So, I mean, that's like a card like this feels really cool to me, too, where there's one pretty limited path with a fan. I just, that's separate. I don't know how to achieve that more often, but that's something that's interesting to me.
Separate path is also brand new, so I'm proud of those. Those work better than I thought they would.
Yeah. I mean, in terms of like the card design and the feel of laying them out and stuff, I think that was all really cool. I really enjoyed that. For me, I think the major frustration I experienced was just heat after heat, because especially because I think the times that we didn't get heat were like the first 2 or 3 rounds. When we were getting fans, and so that might have just been, it might have just been randomization. It might have been unfamiliarity with the game. So maybe on a second playthrough, I'd just be a little more careful. And as soon as I see a round with all three that are heat, I might say, oh, then for sure this round I'm just running my engine no matter what happens, because it's more valuable for me to get first player and have a chance at something better on a future turn than it is.
I agree. From what I drew, it seems like even more heat, and then there was a string, but
no, but there were some. Yeah, I mean, there's plenty of little fans and here and there, and even one like this is a neutral card ultimately, right? That's interesting to me. I love this card design. That one's so cool. With the 1x1 and the 1x2 slopes.
It was weird when I was making them today. I was just like, why didn't I do that before?
Yeah, it's not intuitive, but to design the cards that way, but it's super intuitive to use the card. I don't know. I think that's cool.
Yeah, I also tried to. I like games where every card is unique, so
sure,
I can always make more.
Yeah, if it were a game where it's a set number of turns, or you play till the deck runs out, or whatever, and it was who has the kind of quickest scaling infinite loop, or just, I guess, quickest scaling, whatever, whoever can get the most points, I guess, is what it ultimately is coming down to, if someone doesn't manage to make an infinite one. Then a card like this would be really cool, because it has a lot of heat tokens, but it also has a lot of AI. And so you might, if there were more fans, or you could try to build a longer loop or something, and you were incentivized to do that, you were trying to get the most points into your loop overall, rather than just trying to close any loop. You might see this as a card that doesn't, like, when I see this, I'm like, okay, I guess it's a straight line, that's valuable. But I basically don't even look at this two heat across, because the likelihood of me finding 2 fans that I can loop into that without adding another heat token seems pretty rare. I'm trying to think how many paths there even are that do that. Maybe 4 or 5 in the game.
Then these square ones can be powerful because they can be self-contained loops there, where you just need 1 fan. But
right, yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess.
I mean, what we're describing is just kind of a. Just there should always be one when paths join. You're saying cross.
And y'all are just saying like the heat sink strategy just will not work. You're thinking.
It can work. There's just not very many of them.
Yeah.
And I don't think the payoff for extra heat is good enough yet. I did want certain cards to be worse than other cards, which I have not had in any previous version of this, because in the past, people didn't care if they pick last. There was always something decent enough to take.
Gotcha. Yeah, this time it definitely felt like if I missed that fan card the first round, I'm like, shoot, I should have grabbed the first player or something. There was incentive towards certain cards, but that can also make it feel a little bit luck of the draw. If whoever happened to be first player on a round when the really good card is drawn, it might seem like you're not making a choice. You're just, oh, good, I got the good one. I happened to be the one who got the good one.
Now, you played once before, right?
I have not played before.
Okay. Thought you played. Oh, yeah, you got the whole explanation. I mean, nothing too constructive I can say. I mean, everything's looking good to me.
Well, okay. I don't think it's almost there, but the fact that McKay said that he sweat a little bit about being first player pick, that has not happened yet. And to me, that is a core feeling that has to be in this game. So that makes me happy. I'm getting closer to that.
Yeah.
So how do you feel about dead ends like this? It used to have more of them, but I don't know.
Oh, that's interesting, because then it's just a one-time bonus.
Yeah.
I mean, that currently that's the only reason to run your system is just to grab first player, right?
Yeah.
Um,
Or to have enough points to be the most at the end if nobody infinites.
Nobody is doing it. I don't know. That it seems unlikely to me that would be most likely to yield the most points. It seems to kind of just to be that niche case of trying to do a quick grab for first player, because usually you'd have some kind of loop, even if it was generating 2 heat or something, that would be the one you'd use to at the end of the game to try to have the most points.
Yeah, but Marcus was talking about bringing in Catan roads that could bridge the
gap. Roads, I think, would totally change everything that I have said. I mean, just, any... basically ignore any path or whatever that I've talked about. Well, that's another thing I wonder is that could you, have a token or two, you've got your little purple and red cubes. I know you were saying you'd want to do no additional components other than cards, but, is there a way that you can win a fan or something, just like a little blue cube that you can place over an empty spot on the board once per game or something for achieving a certain thing during the game?
Yeah.
Like maybe the player with the biggest loop gets 1 additional fan or something. I don't know. A loop that spans the most cards.
Yeah. I mean, it's so tempting. But yeah, I want to see if I can do without it first. I did have, in the first 3 plays, I did have bridge cards that I did not toggle that correct. Bridge cards that went over other cards. They were gray a little bit.
Oh, that's interesting.
That could bridge the gap stuff. But I think they were more confusing than it was worth. And when it worked, it was just overpowered.
Sure.
So that was me trying to use cards.
Maybe those cards
stuff like that, but I don't know.
And maybe those cards detract 3 or 5 from your score, maybe.
And they did not in the past. They just had nothing on them other than a single path that'll bridge, but I don't know. But the fact that they were the same size and everything was just... I don't know, it's not even worth me talking about it right now, in card form at least. And then the other thing that I just now realized I forgot to put in the cards when I was making them today is bugs.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, take that viruses...
Yeah, it's a take that mechanic to where, when you run over a bug on your circuit, it raises everybody else's heat by 1.
Oh, interesting.
Like a global thing, because player interaction is too low right now, and I totally forgot to do that. But I don't know. It's probably not a good first idea, but I just wanted to see it in action.
No, that's fun. I like that idea.
Would you take that for just expansion or main game?
Main game.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of a way, I'm wondering if there would be an option to, if you run your circuit and have more than anybody else, instead of taking first player, you could also move one of your already placed cards, or you can play a card from the shop over one of your own cards or something. That would, because if you'd kind of, played yourself into a corner, or, especially, me first time playing the game, I felt like once I'd made those first few decisions and realized, oh, shoot, I may have kind of misplayed a couple of early cards, I didn't necessarily feel like I had a strong strategy for coming back from that.
Something like relocating a card, I would prefer to be something written on the card themselves, like you place it, and it gives you a bonus to do something else because it says it on the card. That way it's not a rule that I teach at the beginning of the game.
Sure.
It's something that I'd be more interested in. And then the other place for that is to have kind of a mini market somewhere that could have, like you were saying, like a fan that you can put in a spot or something, or just some additional thing to give you a reason to boop when you cannot be first player. Because I also want that feeling.
Exactly. That's the thing that seemed interesting to me when you were talking about the bug. I was wondering are there a couple other symbols you could toss on these cards that would just add some diversity to them? but maybe incentivize, like I was saying, a route that has a lot of heat or something that otherwise wouldn't feel so good. If there's a way to do a take that or a way to give you some other advantage, like the first time you run over it, you can move one of your other cards or something. And then you have to discard that card. I mean, like there could be ways to make it so it's like a single use even on your circuit or something. It's a powerful one-time effect when you run your circuit past that icon. I don't know. The fact that it's so generative to me just says like it's a really cool concept. I'm excited by the ways the game can go.
I'm more excited today than I've been before. So yay!
Okay. What I want though is like for the like a more of a I can beat the guy who knows how to make the loop. I want to be able to just score high and beat the guy before they make the loop.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Maybe some kind of like a system crash or something, or
I mean, you could have like
overclocking, or I don't know.
Like if somebody boops, nobody else can beat that score in one round. You like have one more round to beat that score or something like that. I don't know. I mean, what I just said is more complicated than it needs to be, but something to put them on a timer to kind of rush it in. Because I love counterplay in games.
Yeah.
Like I don't want the game to allow me to play the same every single game. So I don't know what to do right now, but yes.
And of course, a more limited number of cards, maybe. But I mean, maybe that's it. I don't know. Or cards that mill the deck, maybe, or
yeah, no, the deck milling would be a good visual timer of the game. So that is something in the mind that I can build on once I get the core system.
Oh yeah, that would be interesting because then I might feel incentivized. Oh shoot, I know I'm not going to finish my infinite loop. I need to try to finish a good loop. I might make that strategy shift mid-game. That would make it an interesting moment for me.
Then that would make the heat sink at the bottom more important.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly. That would. Yeah, exactly. As if if you had taken 3 or 4 heat sink cards over the course of the game instead of just 1 or 2, suddenly your loop that has 2 heat isn't as big a deal, and you can get a bunch of AI from it.
Yeah, and just having I was about to say having some special effects on the heatsink cards, like one with one heatsink spot, but it also says whenever you run your system, add as much heat as you had to your point, or something like that. Then I have too much card back variety to where you can kind of know what's on the other side, because right now there's only 4 different card backs, where I could have repeat stuff listed all the time, but then they're not interesting anymore. Because the other feeling I would want to get across is a sense of ownership in the engine that you made. Like, look what I made, and it's like nobody else is the other happy feeling when the game ends that this does not have.
I don't know. I felt like I was kind of doing like one big circle. Marcus got like he was going for maybe a more ambitious long line and was going to come back around. You were branching in a couple different directions. Like I felt like there was an interesting variety in the choices we made.
Yeah.
But for sure that would be amplified if I felt like I was doing that on 2 sides. If I was doing that both with the and back of each card by building the heatsink.
But I can also put the interesting abilities on the normal cards too. But
just throwing this out there, but like neon lights just for style points, maybe for some of those on the heatsink thing, like maybe.
Well, I think you were saying you're planning to pitch to publishers, right? So this is probably all just kind of stand-in art at this point.
And I'm one of those weirdos that takes pride in if an ugly game is fun, you've passed an incredible litmus test.
That's true. That's fair.
I mean, don't go out of your way to crinkle your cards.
Make it uglier.
Or at least that's the excuse I use when my games aren't fun. It's because it's ugly and no other reason.
Yeah.
But
I don't
yeah,
think this
no,
one is. I feel like this one is bare bones, but I think given the subject matter, it doesn't feel out of place.
and then the other stupid thing about Tabletop Simulator is that there's like a very light circuit board thing on the background of every card, and it's not showing up in Tabletop Simulator. It just comes in too bright. I can just copy paste one of them into the other chat box, but for anybody that cares, but
I'd love to see that.
Yeah, I don't see it.
getting back to that. I don't know why it won't let me in the chat. Yeah, there we go. It's not impressive or anything, but it's something that doesn't take much printer ink that brings you into the theme more. But and then I don't know if I just posted it in the chat, but and then the other thing that I should have asked is, do you have anything on Tabletop Simulator right now, McKay?
I don't right now.
Okay.
That might have been obvious by the fact that I was unfamiliar with Tabletop Simulator. I know of it, but I just needed to actually put in the time to learn it. So appreciate you guys being willing to run a crash course for me on using it as a player, and I'll spend some time on the back end trying to learn it as a...
Marcus, did you want to do a run through? And I'll talk about anything as much as you guys want, but I just want to make it clear that I'm willing to jump into Marcus's if Marcus wants such.
Oh yeah, we can do it. Yeah.
Let me I'm gonna give
signing out of here.
Marcus, you have the host now.
All right.
As soon as you click yes.
Okay.
And I'm gonna run to the rest.